I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So typically at our meetings, we start off with public comment, and I know there's some individuals who we'd like to have speak and come and go quickly. But because it looks like there's a lot of public comment tonight, I'd like to open this up to the employees of the month, and I think we can get that done. This way, everyone could leave and either get back to work or get home to see their families. So the first employee of the month is James Moore and our canine Topper. Everyone knows our friendly, mostly dog Topper, who's been a great community liaison, and so he's right here. I think is Captain Hertzow here?
She is.
Okay. Did you want to say a few words about P.O. Moore?
Thank you. I just want to let the public know why Officer Moore and Canine Topper are receiving the Employee of the Month for May. I'll be real brief. Later in May, Officer Moore and Canine Topper were called to assist an outside agency in East Hampton. East Hampton Town Police had a call from a social worker that one of her patients was at large, not taking their medicine, and was having a violent episode. East Hampton Police located the subject on a bicycle when the subject brandished a handgun and then ran off into the woods. The officer took cover behind a tree, lost sight. Being that time was of the essence and we felt that this person might commit suicide, East Hampton Town Police contacted our agency as well as Suffolk County Aviation to try and locate the subject. Once Officer Moore and Canine Topper arrived to the scene, they were briefed and they immediately began working trail and picked up a scent, and they were able to obtain a track of the subject. Located the person 3/4 of a mile into the woods. They advanced on the subject, who they did not know if he was going to brandish the handgun again. They encountered the subject, and after a brief encounter, he complied and was taken into custody without incident. Backpack that was on the individual, he had a .22 caliber pellet pistol, which looked like a real handgun. So it's my belief that their actions prevented potential suicide by cop, which has been common, and for that's the reason why I nominated Officer Moore and Canine Topper for their duties and diligence that night. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I wanted to thank again Officer Moore and K-9 Topper to be commended for their courage and unwavering commitment to fulfill their duties within the village and assisting one of our outside agencies in the East End. Officer Moore and K-9 Topper have displayed remarkable proficiencies and dedication to their duties, and in this situation, they are worthy of this special recognition. So Officer Moore, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, great job, and to Topper, good boy. So. And now the second employee of the month is Steve Moran of the Parks Department. He's a groundskeeper too, and Steve has gone above and beyond helping other groundskeepers to get the baseball and softball fields into great shape. We've gotten many compliments about how good the fields look, and Steve is always willing to take on any task assigned to him and will help everybody on any project that needs another set of hands. And this recommendation was made by John Flick, who's also doing an outstanding job taking the lead of our Parks Department. So we're lucky to have great officers, a great police department, a great public works department, and really great employees throughout the village. So thank you to Steve as well. He is a groundskeeper too, so thank you, Steve. So now we can begin the public comment portion of the meeting. We know that we have some people here for a variety of issues, But I understand that there may be a few people tight on time, so I'm first gonna. Okay, so there's a list here. Maybe Charlene, you can go off the list. Those are who signed up.
Bye, Topper.
Okay, Donna would like to have been here, but she couldn't get off of work. I would like to address the parking situation on Layton Avenue. Please leave it as it is. We are finally able to leave freely most of the time, as some people are still occasionally parking behind Donna's driveway illegally. And we have the huge landscapers, trucks, trailers, delivery people, repair people, and cars trying to navigate up and down the streets. There is enough parking for the tenants on most times their lot is less than half full. They have use of Hildreth Street, which has no houses there to be affected. Then the spots on Layton Avenue between all three areas, none are fully used. There are enough spots parking, then the lot can be refurnished to accommodate even more cars. As lifelong residents on this street, we employ that you please leave the parking as is. 25 Layton Avenue to the corner open. Even this partial no parking has made a significant difference for the better of allowing the safety of precautions for fire trucks, emergency vehicles, delivering, etc. Donna and I would greatly appreciate if each board member would come to meet with us to see the exact situation. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs.
Thank you.
Bremba.
Excuse me.
Isabel Icona?
Yes. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I came here because the sign in front of my house vanished. We had a sign that said that you couldn't park from 12 p.m. to 6 a.m. and they were removed. Then they put back some on the other side of the street that says no stop. And I was wondering if you could, this summer it's going to be a mess there if they start parking. And my daughter's room is the first one. It's going to be very noisy. So I was wondering if you could put it back before the summer. I have also, we could put the same one again, or at least right in front of my house, only because I live between two stop signs. And there is the street, Pelletro, that cuts between the two signs. So, Officer Angel Perez told me that you cannot park between the two stop signs, and because there's the other street there. And I have people parking there all the time, and when they turn, and another one comes here, you have to be very careful when you go out, because I have a very narrow entrance. So I was wondering if you could put or a stop sign between the two, don't park between the two stop signs, or the one that we had before for all the block, that is from 12 to 6, whatever. That's, I cannot tell you which one, but I have two choices that not everybody has.
Thank
So
you.
that is one thing, and the other thing is, about 2 years ago, I called and I spoke, I don't remember the name. I had my sidewalk right in front of my driveway completely broken, and because it's the street, I cannot touch it. And somebody came, I called, somebody came and said, oh, this is very easy, I can do it very quickly. We only have to make sure that you don't drive your car at night when we finish it. And that's 2 years ago, I'm still waiting, and that's it.
All right. Thank you very much. Nice to see you.
Nice to-
And Steve Phillips is right there, head of DPW. Harry Weed's there, so hopefully, and I
He's
see them
got it.
taking some notes. Yeah. Thank you.
Penelope Wright?
My name is Penelope Wright, and I'm here representing the board and the owners of the Layton Avenue condominiums, which, as some of you already know, are located at the corner of Layton Avenue and Hildreth Street. We know we have a difficult situation that we'd love to have resolved, as Mrs. Paremba would. In March, just a sort of a recap. In March, a crew of village workers installed several new no parking signs on Layton Avenue and on Hildreth Street, which eliminated approximately 8 or 9 spaces that we had been using. They are not always used, but we had been using them. 4 of these spaces were eliminated for safety reasons, and we met with Dean McNamara. We understood and we support their efforts to make it safe. But I am here about the other 4 or 5 at the west end of Layton Avenue. We know that these spaces were eliminated after to accommodate, I believe, Mrs. Paremba, who had difficulty or didn't want to continue to pull back out of her driveway when there was traffic on the south side of Layton Avenue. Unfortunately, all the driveways facing us have the same situation, but it's not ideal. It just isn't ideal, but that's what it is. And here is our parking situation in a nutshell. Our condo consists of 30 units, roughly half of which are occupied by 2 people. Since most of us have cars, that translates to a real need for about 45 parking spaces. And here is what we currently have. 21 spaces in our rear parking lot. 3 spaces that are now usable on Hildreth Street, so that's 24, and 8 or 9, depending on how carefully people park, and they often do not park carefully, on Layton Avenue. So that's 33 available spaces. So, and that doesn't include work vehicles. We do have landscapers, we do have visitors, our neighbors have visitors. This is parking for everybody. So we are, no matter how you, oh, sorry, oh,
30
oh my
seconds.
goodness, okay. Okay, we know there is no perfect solution, but in an effort to compromise, we would like to suggest that 1 space opposite Mrs. Paremba's driveway is marked off so that she can exit easily. And the other spaces are returned to us. We thought maybe there could be 2 spaces at the very west end of the street. I think, and we'd also be happy to, we know they're not always occupied. During the day, hardly anybody's there. If you drive at 10 at night, you'll find maybe 1 space in the parking lot, and we're going to have a bigger problem in the summer. So we really appreciate your willingness to reconsider the parking on Layton Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you.
John DiCioccio.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. My name is J.R. DeCiccio with the law firm of Greenberg Trarick, 2317 Montauk Highway, Bridgehampton, New York. I'm here tonight with regards to resolutions number 3 and 4 on the agenda. As far as resolution number 3 is concerned, our firm represents a property owner on Mill Farm Road who opposes the contemplated construction of a water treatment facility. It's our belief that such a use is not permitted in that location, and we'll certainly speak more to that if a public hearing is scheduled and resolution number 3 is adopted tonight. It's my understanding that no application has been filed with the town of Southampton as of yet, so I would submit that resolution number 4, where the village seeks lead agency status in another municipality, is premature at this time. The village would not even be an involved agency, let alone the lead agency, on an application in the town of Southampton where it has no jurisdiction whatsoever. Again, no application has been filed at this time, so resolution number 4 is premature. Thank you.
Thank you. One thing, have a good night. One thing I'd like to do actually is it seems like many people here to speak about this topic. I'd like to maybe do all of the other public comment first, and then we'll turn this over to the comments about this particular topic, just so we can kind of sort this out and keep everything organized. And then I'll make a few comments about the sewer prior to those public comments. So, Shirley, you can go down this list. We can call on those here to do other topics, and then we'll group all of the
We have, Leeds County Cashman, South Maple Street.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the board. About a year and a half ago, I discovered lots of bamboo growing in my gardens. And I called a landscaper by the name of Mr. John Christensen, and he explained to me that he had gone over to the village property, which is about 40 beautiful acres next to my property. It's a green belt. It will not be developed, and thank goodness. And he said it wouldn't make any difference if he dug out the bamboo on my property. It had to be removed from the village side. And the mayor gave us permission to go there with a crew of 8 men. It took a full day, and they dug and removed that bamboo on the village property. They took down 20 feet of fence on my property and proceeded to remove the rest that was growing into my gardens. Unfortunately, it's grown back. And I was told unless they apply a poison now, right now, it will continue to grow 20 feet high and continue to invade my property. The removal of this bamboo was $4,100. First, I would like to have the bamboo treated now with this poison to get rid of it on both the village side of my property, and I would appreciate very much being reimbursed for the $4,100.
Can I say
Yeah,
something?
please.
So I did have the Parks Department come by and remove the bamboo on the village side. Again, just this last month.
Okay,
Actually,
I'm sorry, forgive me for interrupting you.
Yeah, sorry.
I forgot to tell you that I have pictures here.
Yeah.
They have supported growth, which they do each year, of a mound that gives privacy from my property to the village.
Mhm.
And they planted about 50 more, in this earth that they put down, 50 more bamboo trees that are 5 feet high. I mean, someone is not watching.
Yeah. Well, maybe Steve could speak to that. Steve, didn't the folks go over and try and remove that?
We did remove the bamboo, but we have not planted, we don't plant bamboo in the village side.
Well, it's there right now. Here are the pictures.
It's not us.
Okay, maybe you could submit the pictures to the clerk.
Sure.
And, yeah, and that, I would appreciate that, because I know that we definitely tried to remove that bamboo that you saw there, because I went and spoke to the Department of Public Works about that
Thank you.
after we spoke. I definitely got right
Very
on
good.
it.
And
Yeah.
where may I leave these pictures and the bill?
With the clerk, please.
With the clerk.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. And bamboo obviously is an invasive species, so it's something we definitely do not want in Southampton Village. So thank you for letting us know about this, and we hope to address this as soon as possible. So thank you again.
We have a Troy Bruckner. Okay, you're down for speaking.
You could say anything you'd like.
You don't have to speak
Or you
if
don't
you
have
don't
to
want.
speak if you don't want to.
I will then. I will talk about, I'm here because I live, well, actually, my father has property on Flying Point Road, where the rumored sewage redevelopment may take place. I don't know where that's at with the development of it at all, but we are actually, we're just really beside ourselves with the whole thing. We've lived there for 20 years at 18 Flying Point Road. We've been dealing with, first of all, the steel company across the street on 39 that's developing over onto Flying Point Road, which in and of itself has been very alarming. Environmentally and everything else, we have no idea what's going on there. The traffic has just been unbearable. High speeds, no no police there to really do much of anything. It's complete cut through that Flying Point section, obviously. And it's such a shame because, well, first of all, the children and the adults that would be affected by whatever this might be producing, which I don't even want to think about. I'll leave that to the experts to talk about, but it's terrifying. We have 2 beautiful acres that were part of Diamond Farms. The town just saved the farmhouse, the main farmhouse, which sits right on Flying Point, which is directly across from the proposed development. And we're behind there with another, first of all, the farmhouse was built in the 1850s. There's somebody going through really doing a nice job trying to save the farmhouse. We have the barn that dates back to the 1850s that I'm now, with my family, trying to push forward to get that landmarked as well. So there's 2 landmarked, beautiful properties, this great historic neighborhood that is already being destroyed with traffic development from the commercial side, and then this is just like nightmare for property owners. No matter what I'm told, I'm not buying it. And to think that this is coming from the village to the town, for us to take care of the village's waste is just, very insulting. So that's all I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you. Troy, thanks for the comments. The only thing I would add is that we would like to have a public presentation, a public hearing, and a listening session, either on the 6th, where we'll be doing a review, an environmental assessment, and alternatively, potentially even a second date, even earlier than that, where the village will bring in the sewer engineer, the sewer task force, experts, and we'd like to have that listening session. So just so people are aware, that is also underway as well. Everyone's welcome to make comments tonight, and we're open to listening, but we'll be having that as well. So there'll be other opportunities in addition to tonight for speaking.
The other thing I did not mention is the property values. I mean, I don't even want to think about that. It's right in the middle of a residential neighborhood. It's not the right spot. So that's all I'll say.
Thank you.
David Rung?
David Rong, 85 Pleasant Lane. The upcoming election should be a referendum on the character and motives of the trustees that they have demonstrated in their treatment of my wife and me in the grievance process. All I wanted in the filing of my grievance was to be treated the same as my neighbors. I wanted to be treated with fairness. I wanted the correction of the egregious overassessment of my property, an overassessment which has cost us over $30,000 in the last 20 years. Instead, Bill Menger and Gina Arrested this year and Roy Stevenson last year entirely ignored the facts presented in the grievance, thus continuing the substantial overassessment of my property. Their vindictive actions used the power of their office to punish select residents. Their actions incur unnecessary legal expenses and expose the village to financial costs, and these actions result in these trustees' own financial gain and are done to appease their financial backer. This, to me, looks like corruption and should be investigated by a good governance group. If you want to know the character and motive of these trustees, come stand by me in front of my property. I will show you the 6 comparables I used in my grievance. You will see completely the irrational treatment my wife and I have received from Bill, Gina, and Roy. It will be evident to you why these individuals are not worthy of your vote.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Susan Green?
Yeah, I didn't know I was speaking.
Oh, okay.
Should I just speak to you? Hello.
Hi.
So I'm basically here to voice my opposition to the sewer treatment plant, as I live in close proximity to where it would be, and that's why I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank
Susan.
you.
Sylvia Bolati?
Good evening, Ms. Mayor and Board. Thank you so much for listening to us tonight. My name is Sylvia Bolati. I live full-time in the town of Southampton. I have owned a property at 826 North C. Mecox Road since 1997. And we love our town. I think that we strive to make the best of our town. We love the village as well. But we don't want the village's problems dumped on us. We think, actually, one of the neighbors spoke about being insulted. I think that falls, I support his position. I do think it's insulting for the village to determine, because you've had strong opposition in the village to various sites that you've considered, to now say, we are going to build this in the town, and we're going to let the people who are at North Sea Mecox, at Mill Farm Lane, in all these communities, who are permanent residents, by the way, unlike the village residents, the owners in the village, I believe the rate is over 85% of the village owners don't reside here. In addition, most of the properties in the village are rented commercially. And for this board to consider that we who live here, who have children here, who have our livelihoods, many of us now work from home, I'm sure, and that we're going to have to sit in our backyards and not only have to tolerate the odors that come from this. We're not making this up. I sent a letter to the board today and to you, Mayor Jesse Warren, that points to a website of New York State that has studies on this. I think we can avoid 10 hearings with engineers making presentations. It's going to cost us money. We're going to have to hire engineers. We're going to have to hire lawyers. Some of us are lawyers, but we don't have time to be here full time to take care of this matter. It takes time away from us with our work. And we are appalled at the lack of disclosure. You know, sometimes to do things right, it's smart to tell people, look, this is what we're thinking of doing. Do you want to come in? Let's discuss this.
You have 30 seconds, ma'am.
Explain to us why it makes sense. To us, this makes no sense. We intend to vehemently oppose it. This will end up, we don't want to threaten litigation, but we will not live with this in our backyards. First, because it's completely unfair. Second, because we are the residents. We are the ones that are living here. And we believe that this will affect us in many ways. It will affect the way we live. It will affect our home values, and we will not tolerate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carol Finocchio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Board Trustees. Thank you for listening to us. My name is Carol Finocchio. I'm an attorney. I own 2 properties on Lower Seven Ponds Road. I live and work here full-time now. I don't practice municipal law. I'm here as a homeowner and a resident. I have to say, frankly, we are all outraged. We don't need a listening session. We need you to listen to us now. Please cease and desist from doing this. This is not helping our community. I just bought a brand new construction house and spent my life savings. I sold 3 other properties to buy a house here. It has a septic system that has a computer. They did everything right to comply with what the town requires. And now somebody else's sewage is going to be shipped down the street from me using the community preservation funds that I paid to preserve open space and farmland. It's outrageous. We really, truly are outraged, and I can promise you that you should listen to us because we are going to fight this as much as we possibly can. I'm an appellate litigation attorney. We've hired an attorney at a big law firm, and this will be litigated. I promise you that. Thank you both very much. I'd like to hand in for the record the letter that I wrote to the town and to the village trustees. I don't know whether that's possible to do. I'm not a municipal lawyer, but I do appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura Zubalaki? Zubalik, sorry.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Laura Zubalek. I live on Diamond Court. I'm within walking distance of 1 Bowers Lane, and I am here to vehemently oppose your proposed sewage plant that you plan to build there. To think that anyone in the village of Southampton, the town of Southampton, or the CPF, to think that you would think it's acceptable for the village to dump their waste in somebody else's neighborhood, especially when it's a residential and a farming neighborhood, is incredible. It's despicable, quite frankly. I have encountered many things in my life, and I can tell you that this ranks amongst the most egregious. It is appalling. The arrogance with which this entire process has been conducted is breathtaking. And so I'm here today, along with some of my neighbors, to inform you that we are not going away. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carolyn Litfield?
Good evening. My name is Catherine Littlefield. I live at 22 Mill Farm Lane. I've lived there since 1999. When I look out my back windows, doors, I can see 20,000 acres of ag reserve. If I walk out my front door and I make a right, I end up on a Flying Point Road with all new homes built. Take a visual. And then there's a thatch of green. And behind that green, the village of Southampton wants to park its sewage. So the person who just built those 2 homes to the requirements set forth by the village now has 1 landmark property and another home facing sewage. Why would that be? If you walk to the right, there's another home. If you walk across the road, there's a tree farm. What happens? I also live in another area where they have sewage treatment. Every time it rains, it overflows into the Narrows because there's not enough sewage to contain it. You can bring many, many engineers, and many engineers and studies have been done in many, many locations. But what happens when nature takes over and the rain comes down in buckets, I know you're aware that it does, and that overflows? Are we expecting gravity to take care of it? Gravity is not going to take care of everything. So I don't know when your studies were done because it was all very surreptitious. The only reason why we found out was a little gossip in the Golden Pear. There was no notification of anyone. That little gossip led to my attending the town meeting, never expecting to speak. And when I discussed it with Mr. Schneiderman, he just, and everyone on the board, they just looked aback, like they knew nothing about it, which was a giveaway, because they did know. And then he did tell us about how the land preservation money was divided into 2 categories, some for water preservation, some for green preservation.
30 seconds,
but
ma'am.
really, they're using that to put in silos for waste that belongs elsewhere. There's plenty of other space. Southampton Hospital has Southampton College. There are many, many wide open spaces that already have existing plants that could be built upon, probably cheaper. I know you've done some studies, maybe you considered it, maybe you didn't, but it doesn't belong where we can see it smell it, and be affected by it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is it for the sign-up sheet. One online?
Thank you, Sage.
Please state your name and your address.
Good evening. My name is Ross Quellstone. I reside at 9 Diamond Court. I've been there since I bought the land in '98, and we've been there since '99 when we built the house. It's a beautiful neighborhood. We were there from the beginning, and we've seen it grow and flourish. It's people love their homes. They love the neighborhood. It's beautiful. I live there full time now. And we just discovered this a few days ago, and we're horrified. I saw you yesterday, Jesse, and I expressed how angry I am, how irate the neighborhood is. We have mobilized massively, and it's growing every single day. The outrage is real. Couple of points here. The letters that were submitted today, we'd like to have put into the record. We also have a question regarding the alternative site at 145 North Sea Road. Why was that not ultimately considered over a plot of land right next to a beautiful residential neighborhood? We'd like some answers on that. We have mobilized with legal, and we don't want this, but there will be a fight, and we will not back down. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. You're welcome to proceed. You can state your name and address for the record.
Sir, on Zoom, you go ahead. You can proceed.
Okay, Jason Khan, owner of 14 Flying Point Road. Can everybody hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and trustees, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I joined with my neighbors. I found out about this from a flyer that was circulating about the village proposed sewage plan. This is 20 feet across the street from a landmark property that, and personally, I felt even further betrayed by the town board. The landmarks board of the town of Southampton personally lobbied me for over 8 months to save the historic Diamond Farmhouse, to lift it, to relocate it in front of One Bowers Lane. My plans were already filed, enormous amount of money invested for my home that would have included just a garage or a tennis court on that side. Instead, I accepted the call to save this home and to preserve it, and we put it right there. So this is appalling, shocking, and disgraceful. And I got alerted to watch the video from the town board that the language changed from "we are not aware," this is the village. This is where we have brief conversations. So we thought about buying it, and then we thought it would be disingenuous. I mean, it's shocking. I'm not interested, and I know my neighbors are not, in this studies from the village engineers and the village environmental factors. This is 20 feet in front of a landmark property that the town of Southampton called a model solution and landmark. Further, I was just told from the minutes, the minutes were in from the landmark board of that One Bowers Lane, that the owner, interestingly, just applied for a demo permit. It was denied because that property, I was told, is a contributing historic resource. So, Mr. Mayor, it looks like your sewage plan that your village is proposing is to destroy a contributing resource home for this proposed sewage plan. I have to, it warms my heart that our neighbors have mobilized about this, and we're just not gonna, take it like that. This is unbelievable to this level, and to say that we should be looking, and, we were told, I looked at a video from the town, and there were very, irate members that were, go to the village. It's not us. Actually, one got up, raised her hands, and says, go to the village. One of my neighbors today have a recorded message from the mayor.
30 seconds, sir.
Saying that it is a town and village project. So we were told by our town representative, go to the village, it's them, they're pushing this. This is on video, you can look at it. And today the mayor, Mr. Warren, said that it's not, it's a village and town project. Any which way, I joined with my neighbors to oppose this as strong as possible. We will mobilize, and I feel personally betrayed. Was I set up for financial ruin? Because according to your own agenda, it says July 2022. So at the same time my home was being landmarked, there were studies and executive conversations about a sewage plant in front of it. Unconscionable. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Sage, is there any more members who would like to speak on Zoom?
I don't have any hands.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience tonight who'd like to come forward? Christine, thank you.
It's Christine Whitker, live on Cameron Street. I wasn't planning to say anything, but just generally, I feel I have to scramble to know what's going to be on these agendas and what's going to be talked about. I try to follow most of the meetings, but I wondered if there's some way on the website to have topical things that are under consideration that one could access the way you do when, how do I, when you go to the top, that what the thought is on some of these things, because I don't know, I heard a few days ago or last week that there was some talk of this treatment plant or whatever you want to call it being over out where it's being discussed, but I'd only heard fleeting references, I think by the mayor at some point, that about a site thought you found one, but I just feel like if there was somewhere that people could look to see what's being discussed rather than sort of coming to a meeting and the night before or whatever, seeing the agenda and what's on it and what the public hearings are. So it seems to me you're all promoting the website, that people are supposed to look there and never on a bulletin board, that kind of thing. So I just mention it, that I just think that a lot of these topics are kind of a surprise. And I know you have task forces and committees, but nobody sort of really knows between the time you've chosen them and it comes to a public hearing what the content is. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you, Christine.
Is there any other comment from the public? Okay, we have one more Zoom member.
God bless you, Lynn.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Great. Hi, I had no intention of speaking this evening. My name is Joe Tennant. I live at 10 Flying Point Road. It is the corner of Flying Point and Diamond Court. And I might give Jason a run for his money by being even closer to your proposed sewer plant. Just to paint a picture, I am in the boxy house there on the corner. I have a 2-year-old daughter and a 3-week-old daughter, actually, so I wasn't planning on spending my time fighting this, but I'm happy to put in the effort to do so. Their bedrooms are located on the closest to the corner of Diamond Court and Flying Point, and so about 20 feet away from your proposed site. Others have mentioned the organization that we have done so far. I've been really overwhelmed by the speed at which the entire neighborhood and surrounding areas pulled together. From the first email that was sent less than 3 days ago, we have over 50 residents, over 50 households rather, over 100 residents. We are organized, we are ready, and as others have mentioned, even more eloquently than me, we are ready to fight this. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Is there any other comment from the public? Okay.
The only comment is if we could please have all letters that were sent today to you, Mr. Mayor, and to the board, made as part of this record. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you very much. So we'll keep the meeting moving tonight, and we have 2 board presentations. The first board presentation is the elected official term and compensation update. We have Budget and Finance Chair Len Zananti and Christian Pico from the Planning Commission here tonight, so feel free to take it away.
Okay, members of the board, you've heard me say this before. A good presentation should be long enough to cover the subject and short enough to create interest. And tonight, after reading everyone's opinion in the local paper, we know there is interest in this topic. So the Planning Commission, at its own initiative, planned to work last year to review both electoral and board compensation issues. Compensation was a topic that was raised by the mayor with a prior slate of trustees on May 26, 2020. We couldn't find any further discussion on any of the board transcript we reviewed until last month. Entered in the record tonight, you will find a letter from the commission dated last June 22nd, addressed to the board. It asked the mayor and the trustees if they had any objection to review the issues, and no one objected. The commission worked on the plan for several months, gathered a lot of historical information, comparative data, and ran simulation for the future liability of these board benefits. A task force was formed. It was comprised of 2 Planning Commission members and 3 village residents. Mr. Walter Dean delivered recommendations for the electoral process on June 22nd. That was phase 1, and if we can perhaps have it on the screen, we can share the data, some of this presentation with you. On a more personal note, I was surprised hearing the debate in this room about the cost of annual elections. Democracy doesn't have a price. So residents, I think, would like you to focus on the future of their community and not your future in the next election. Now, phase 2 concerns the compensation and benefits of the board. Now, anytime that subject comes up in a boardroom, you hit a third rail. It was preempted during your last meeting here with a resolution, but without a public hearing. There are many issues to be considered, and the chair of the Finance Committee here will present the facts. But to be clear, the Commission believes the vesting period of health care benefits upon retirement, as written in a resolution dating back to the 21st of August of 1984, is not appropriate for this board today. Health care benefits have grown exponentially over the last 40 years. Finally, salaries of board members should certainly be reviewed. They've been unchanged for 16 years. So you have some data up there. I don't know if there's a way to make this a little bigger. And once you're looking at that for a couple of minutes, I'll hand the floor over to the chair of the Budget and Finance Committee, Len Zananti. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian.
Good evening. I'm Len Zananti, chair of the Budget and Finance Committee. The Budget and Finance Committee, like the group that Christian just described, has spent some time on the issue of compensation and health benefits for village elected officials, and we realize that these issues are all very complex, and there are many options to address them going forward, as we will review. The salaries of the elected officials have been the same since 2007, and the vesting of health benefits for post-service elected officials haven't been in place since 1984. In 1984, there appears to have been an attempt to align vested health benefits with those that village employees were entitled to as members of the New York State Employees Retirement System. At that time, employees could vest their pension benefit at 5 years of service, and once they received a pension benefit from the New York State Employees Retirement System, they received health insurance coverage as retirees. It should be noted that newer employees in tiers 5 and 6 had 10-year vesting until the legislature and governor changed that last year back to 5-year vesting. I would like to present some facts and numbers to put this discussion in context. The total operating budget for the village in this upcoming fiscal year 2024 is $33.7 million. Active employee fringe benefits costing of that $6 million, health insurance being $3.8 million of that $6 million. Retired employee fringe benefit costs are $1.9 million. It should be noted that in an effort to contain the inflationary nature of village health insurance costs, the recent CSEA contract and the last PBA contract dealt with the issue of contributions by employees to their health care costs by introducing a new level of copay. With respect to the financial statements of the village and its long-term liabilities, PKF O'Connor Davis, the village auditors, in its latest audit calculated that net of pension liabilities, other post-employment benefit liabilities, what we call OPEB, are $68.5 million. The largest contributing factor is the projected future health care costs that employees and retirees have been promised. For context, the projected health insurance costs for prior mayors and trustees' health insurance is $4.5 million. And the board, as it's currently constituted, is projected to cost $6.7 million over the future. From our research, no village board in recent memory has paid substantial attention to reforming the compensation and health insurance issue for elected officials. It is clear then that change will come only if there is a will by the elected officials to understand the options and make change. I would like to direct you to the chart on the screen. Currently, the electoral cycle is annual, and options could be every other year. The mayor's term length is 2 years, and options could be 2 or 4 years. Trustee term lengths are 2 years and could be 4 years. Term limits are not in place in this village, and options could be to continue that or make them 8 years. Vesting period for health benefits for the trustees, as we stated, is 5 years. Options could be no vested benefits, 10-year vested benefits, or term limits vested benefits. Vested health care premium copays are currently none and could be introduced. In-office health care premium copays are currently none and could be introduced. The mayor's salary is $25,000 and the trustees' salaries are $15,000. And we are recommending that an option would be that you charge a third party, either a consultant or a committee made up of village residents, to do a benchmark analysis and present you with something that you would accept or reject. As stated by Christian, the only policy that's in place right now for benefits is the 1984 board resolution, and we feel that another option would be to make a board member policy specific to board members. The chart notes that the single that the current health care cost for singles is $16,140 a year, and for families, $38,110 per year. I'd like to, if you could put on the next chart, please. This chart was prepared by the village administrator and her staff.
Yeah, I know.
The village of Southampton, the mayor's salary is $25,000 and the trustee's salary is $15,000. Health benefits are provided with no copay. The vesting is 5 years. The village of West Hampton Dunes, the mayor makes $109,000 and the trustees make $3,000. The mayor gets health insurance, no cost share. The vesting period there is 10 years. And they have no term limits. The village of West Hampton, the mayor makes $40,000 in salary and the trustees $7,500 in salary. No health benefits are provided, and it was revoked in 2015, and they also do not have term limits. Village of North Hills has a $48,000 salary for its mayor and $9,000 for the trustees. Health care benefits are provided, no cost sharing, 10-year vesting, and no term limits. Village of Greenport, the mayor makes $21,000 and the trustees $8,120. Health benefits are provided, there is a cost share, there is no vesting requirement, and the employee pays for the family portion and no term limits. And the village of East Hampton, the mayor makes $26,000, the deputy mayor makes $16,500, the trustees make $14,000, health care is provided, there is a cost share, vesting is 10 years, 3% of salary is the copay, and there are no term limits.
Actually, Len, it's 15% of the premium not to exceed the
I'm sorry,
3%.
I'm sorry, I misread that, thank you. So that is, those are the facts that we wanted to present and get your guidance on which way you think we should go. These are complicated issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Len.
Thank you, Len.
Are there any comments from board members?
We appreciate the research that was done, and you know, I think we need a little time to digest all of this and you know, look at this and think about it. But I appreciate what you guys did. Really, this was very thorough, and really a lot of analysis and information was gathered from a lot of communities in the area. I think this was very, very helpful.
This is exactly the type of information that I was hoping to have when the resolution to terminate the benefits was introduced at the last meeting and expected to be voted on at the same meeting without this prospective information. I think your study has shown that it is a very complex issue that has to be weighed in terms of should salaries be increased to offset reducing benefits? How does it align with the CSEA and the PBA contracts? Because I think those should be familiar, and I think Administrator Kegelbetz would indicate that when we do those negotiations, that is often a subject that is brought up.
It is.
Why should the elected officials get different packages than the other workers in the village? So, again, I appreciate the fact that the board has taken the time to take a look at this. I do think we do need to make some changes. It's clear. We do have election coming up. It might be pertinent to make the changes, or at least some of the changes, before that election. I believe that the two members of the board who would be affected in the coming election, depending on its results, would be the mayor and Mr. Manger, who would reach the 5-year vesting period if they, depending on which one of them were to win the election. So these are all things that should be discussed, and obviously with an eye to the deadline that election would present, because once a benefit is earned, as we've learned from our existing officials who are continuing to get their benefits, it can't be taken away. My understanding that is correct? Yes. So, anyway, those are issues before the board that we need to determine.
Thank you, Trustee Stevenson. Any other comments from board members?
I'd like to ask, is there, I think that this should also, we should have a public hearing on this. I also wanted to know if there are any regulations or rules that maybe are guided by the state as to how these have to be changed. I'm not sure.
So certainly, the council should be able to answer that, but we know that normally anything that affects an elected official, whether it's their term, whether it's their compensation, New York State law says that you have to go through a public hearing. You have to have that resolution be subject to a permissive referendum. A permissive referendum means that a resolution is at stay for 45 days, giving the opportunity for residents to come in and file a petition with the village clerk if they want that resolution to be put on either a specific election or a general elections ballot. But I'm sure that a village attorney can confirm that.
Andrew, could you?
Term limits can be modified by resolution only. Board certainly may hold a public hearing on it, and that's the board's decision.
But they are subject to permissive referendum.
Yes, they are.
Correct. So that's 45 days after a resolution is put up, and therefore it won't be able to, it is subject to permissive referendum, which means that it's out there for 45 days, so you won't have them for the elections.
I'd have to specifically look at the section in New York State Village Law on that.
I'll be happy to send it to you. It's 3-312, and I forgot the other one. I can look at my notes, 9 something. Section 9 of the New York State Village Code. Or simply, I can send you the New York Controller's reports on the subject dated January 22, page 51. You'll find it there. Thank you.
3-312 deals with filling of offices and vacancies by election or appointment.
So I
don't think that applies here.
So I'm confused. Is this, are you talking though, this is just about terms or again, I think we need to look at.
My comment was specifically about modification of term limits can be done by resolution.
Okay, but these other issues are something also in addition to term limits.
I agree, and I don't have the answer for you on that right now.
Okay, well, that we need to find out.
Yeah, no, the point is that, yes, they are, you can do it by resolution, but they are subject to permissive referendum. And perhaps if you want to explain again what a permissive referendum, that might be helpful to our elected officials.
Sure. I think the board's familiar with it since we dealt with it already on another resolution 2 months ago. But it provides an opportunity for the voters in the village to reject it, essentially.
Right, exactly, I understand. But, I mean, I would think that we would want to have a public hearing on this as well.
I think it's clearly best practice whether it's required or not.
Right. That would be my thought as well. But I'd like to hear from the rest of the board if they agree with that.
Well, just to be clear, if we were to, for example, change the vesting period from 5 to 10 years, which would then alleviate the issue of Mr. Manger or Mr. Warren getting vested, because they would, well, actually, Mr. Manger, you might be, I don't know. Anyway, to get back to my question, if you changed it to 10 years, which is the recommendation of the committee, but it would be subject to permissive referendum, does that mean that it wouldn't take effect for the officials that are elected in the next election, because the permissive referendum would still be floating around out there as an option?
I think that raises the question of when the law would actually be adopted by this board, and that it seems like it's a tight time frame for just from a 6-week election schedule. You'd have to notice a public hearing, draft the local law.
Well, we have to look at this clearly.
I agree.
Yeah, okay.
All right, thank you. I have a few comments I'd like to make, but before that, I just want to clarify a few things for the public. First, what Christian, you're saying is that term limits, if this board would want to give itself longer terms, could be done via permissive or mandatory referendum. However, New York State has very clear criteria as to what can be a permissive or a mandatory referendum, and Benefits for Life does not fit that. Andrew actually spoke to Rebecca Rosito at NICOM, who kind of handles this topic, and you cannot put on a referendum whether the public wants benefits for life or not, or what a vesting period would be. That is not something that New York state law would allow to be a permissive or mandatory referendum. However, I'm not even sure we need the public to tell us this on the ballot, whether they want the part-time elected officials to have benefits for life. I think the public has already made itself very clear that this is not something that they want. So I'd like to take this a step further. I heard the comment that this is a complex issue. Benefits for a lifetime for part-time elected officials is not a complex issue. This is not something that we should have. In fact, when I saw Mayor Maria Moore, the mayor of West Hampton Beach, last night at the water quality panel, she also said, not a complex issue. We did this, our board agreed to it, we agreed to it in the first try, there was no issue. They felt that they had an obligation to the public not to take benefits for life after they left office. So I'd like to say that. I was unaware, if I'm not mistaken, you said the projected benefits could be 4.5 million to 6.7 million for this board. I don't know if I heard that correctly.
The vested benefits the vested benefits for the retired elected officials are 4.5 million. For this currently constituted board, the benefit is projected to be 6.7 million.
If they were to be vested.
If they were to be vested.
So let me be clear. So if what I'm hearing is correct, the projected benefits for this board, if we were all to vest, is $6.7 million. To me, that does not make sense. When you take office, as I did, you take office to serve the community. This is something you do because you love. It's not something you do because you want to take from the village. I think this is a very easy answer. I think that we should get rid of this program of benefits for life. It's not something that's right. It's not something we should do. We're serving our community because we love our community and we want to be here. I'm still serving this community because I want to make Southampton Village a better place. I'm getting married in July. I hope to have a family, and I want this community to be a better place for that reason. I don't want to be taking benefits for life. And the irony is that if I am successful in this reelection bid, then I will vest. And I'm the one person that's saying that this is not something that needs to be done. I think we need to do this sooner than later. I would not mind doing it now. Now, if we'd like to have a public hearing, I'm fine with that, but I'm pretty confident you're not going to find a single village resident who's going to come forward and say they want us to have benefits for life. Now, I can understand that we all work very hard and that this board might seek higher compensation, but I'm not asking for higher compensation. But if you look at this, out of all these examples from the village of Southampton, West Hampton Dunes, West Hampton, Greenport, East Hampton, etc., I'm the second lowest paid mayor on this list. Probably the hardest working, though. And I am envious of Gary Viglianti, the mayor of West Hampton Dunes, makes $109,000 a year, but I give him a hard time every time I see him for that. But I'm the second lowest paid mayor. But this board, out of this list of trustees, is the highest paid group of trustees. But I'm the only person not asking for a raise. So I just don't understand what the logic here. This is something that now we've had the analysis, now further study has been done. We don't need to do any further study. This is an extremely obvious position. We should get rid of this. We have a resolution prepared. If we'd like to put this into local law, we can do so with a public hearing that's properly noticed via the village clerk in the local paper, and we can do it that way to solidify this via local law. But we also can rescind a resolution. This was put into place by a resolution, so all we need is a resolution to rescind this. So I feel very strongly about this issue. As far as term limits go, that is an issue that there might be some alternative opinions on. On the one hand, a 2-year term may be good for the public who might want to make changes in their elected officials. I can tell you there's a number of people in this room that would like to make changes to this entire board after what we've heard tonight. But you could also argue that a 4-year term is good for good government. Sometimes you put a program into place or an idea into place, and it takes more than 2 years to see that to fruition. And one could argue that a 4-year term is good government. So there's a variety of opinions on that topic, but as far as benefits for life, there are not a variety of opinions. It's wrong, and that's something that we should rescind as soon as possible, and we should not wait for another meeting to do this. And then lastly, to make a 10-year term or a 10-year period for vesting. Again, I also disagree with that. There should be no vesting for this board moving forward. We're very lucky enough to get great healthcare benefits while we're serving, but when we're gone, I do not think that we should get it. And this was, again, something that came up when we were speaking with the CSEA, and they had expressed that it doesn't really seem fair that we're asking them to pay in more, but we ourselves are not willing to pay anything in return, and we also get the lifetime benefits. So there's so many valid arguments as to why the benefits for life for the part-time elected officials is not a good policy, and I would encourage this board to adopt this and to rescind this as soon as possible.
So, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Just some clarification in terms of the long-term liability we're talking about. Out of the $6.5 million, if you were to be reelected, you'd be 5 out of the $6.5 million. I'm sure that hasn't escaped you, but I think when we say it's more complex, it's because we haven't addressed contribution to your health care benefits while in office, or if it were to be vested after in retirement. Today, your employees are contributing. This board doesn't. How can you negotiate a collective bargaining when you're not on the same footing with the people you're trying to get a change of health care benefit? So the point is for you to think it's not just about the vesting. There's all sorts of issues, which include contribution to health care benefit that should be included in the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. And by the way, I appreciate you assuming my life expectancy being quite long, but if you know the stress levels of this job, I've cut that in half and maybe reduced that to $2.5 million.
We can change that, Jesse. But actually, how did you do that calculation? Because I am sort of curious how.
The calculation was done by the village administrator, treasurer, and her staff, and it's based on life expectancy. That's why the numbers tilt that way, because the mayor is so young, relatively speaking.
And because the mayor said that he's getting married in July, and therefore then it would be a family, and then.
That's the calculation.
Okay,
That's right.
okay. Yeah, that makes a little more sense, because I said I just didn't understand that, yeah. All right, thank you.
Don't forget that your night ship, you only have single or family. You don't have married benefits. Single is $16K, married is $38. So as soon as you get into the situation of a married coverage, it's a big number. There's no consideration of paying part of the difference between married and single. A lot of other communities do.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So we can move on to the outdoor dining procedures. I hope Alex Wallach is available. Alex Wallach we hired, and we're very lucky that he had joined us. He's the director of planning for the Village of Southampton. And one thing that I asked him to do is to demonstrate to the public and to show the board what the dining procedures are for businesses who own their own property and would like to do outdoor dining on their own property. And one of the reasons that we had asked him to do this is that it's extremely cumbersome and highly bureaucratic to increase outdoor dining. And there's a number of restaurants in our village downtown that would really benefit from having outdoor dining and would also benefit the beautification and the character and the quality of our downtown if we can get some restaurants, some more outdoor seating. This is not about, he's going to talk about the criteria for village outdoor dining, but what I also asked him to look at is outdoor dining for businesses that, again, own their own property, such as the former gastropub at the end of Job's Lane and other businesses that might meet this criteria. So hopefully Alex is available for this presentation, and thank you again, Len and Christian from the Budget and Finance Committee and Planning Commission. Now we have Alex Wallach.
Good afternoon, board members. I hope you can hear me okay.
We can hear you, Alex.
We just can't see you though, Alex.
No, I'm sorry. My bandwidth isn't allowing for that at the moment.
Okay.
Yes, so I hope this will be more of a discussion than a formal presentation. But I shared some analysis with the board about the village's current policies for outdoor dining, comparing state policies for I call sidewalk dining on village property with what I call on-site dining for private property. The procedures for sidewalk dining are relatively straightforward. There's a permit that's received through the clerk's office, and it's criteria. The criteria that
Can we do anything about this? I can't understand a word he's
Yeah,
saying.
he's all mumbled.
He's all mumbled, yeah.
Alex, if you can speak just a touch louder and maybe
Slower.
just a bit slower, that could be helpful. We know your Wi-Fi connection's not great at the moment, but thank you for taking the time. I know this was not a good time for you, but thank you for being here.
I'm sorry, can you let me know if this is any better?
Better.
Yeah, much better. Thank you.
Okay, great, and sorry about the technical difficulties. But as the mayor mentioned, the procedures for outdoor dining on private property can be a little bit cumbersome. It requires applying to two separate boards, both the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Planning Board. There's a very long list of criteria that have to be met. There's public hearings that are involved, public notice. The procedure is very expensive. The permit, if it were granted, expires on January 1st every year. And I can tell you, since January 1st of this year, we haven't received any applications for this. So there isn't any restaurant in the village that's currently taking advantage of this this procedure. It's also limited in area, in that it's only applicable to very small areas of the village in the existing village business district. It's not permitted, for example, on Hampton Road and North Sea Road in areas outside that central core area. So the idea was to come and discuss what the current procedures are, to see if this is something that the village is interested in looking into to changing, and what direction the village might go in if that were the case.
Thank you, Alex. So that really helps detail a little bit of the procedure for the on-site dining on private property. It's much easier to get outdoor dining permits on public property or a village right away. But as Alex just mentioned, it is very cumbersome to get that use for the on-site dining. So I just wanted to bring this up to the board to see if there's any discussion. But ultimately, in order to have a vibrant downtown and one that's inviting, having some outdoor dining space, particularly in the summer months during our peak summer season, would be helpful. And I would just want to make sure that the businesses who want to do the outdoor dining, that are willing to invest in their properties, have the ability to do so. Because right now, the process is so cumbersome that most businesses don't really want to go through this. It's just too hard and too overbearing for any business, especially if it's a small local business, to go do this. So what I would like Alex to do is to look into this and figure out a way where we can amend our code to still make proper policies and procedures and to still have some process in place for the outdoor dining permit on private property, but make it so that the average small business owner could actually afford and understand how to actually apply. So that's what my request is to the board tonight, and I just want to be able to give Alex the authorization to do some of the work.
Well, I would like to, Mr. Mayor, work with Alex on this project.
Sure, please. That'd be excellent. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I would say anything that we can do to help the restaurants who have a difficult time being financially successful, given our great seasonality in our business climate here. We're very busy in the summer, not so busy in the winter. Obviously, every table that a restaurant can add to increase their revenue during the time where they might have to turn away customers because they're full would be great to help sustain our village restaurants, and I think that would be a great idea. We obviously have to be cognizant of the fact that if I'm a restaurant owner, I'm going to try and get as many tables as I can, and we did have some issues a little while ago with some of the tables beginning to obstruct the public right of way, and we would have to be very vigilant to make sure that that does not occur. But obviously, on private property, that should not be as great a concern. So I would agree that it's what appears to be, 4 pages of definitions that you have to meet to satisfy private property should be looked at.
So is Alex, is this the process that has to go, that they have to go through every year with 8 copies of surveys and public hearings, or is it just for the first process and then they have a renewal?
So what would
they would have to go through some version of it every year. What
But-
it does allow for is it to be renewed without a new hearing if you have a letter from the police department and a letter from the building inspector.
Yeah, usually they just
you need to
resubmit.
see both.
Okay.
I'm a little familiar with this.
Right.
Usually they just resubmit.
Okay.
That, actually, since Captain Hertow is here, maybe she could enlighten us. I know that there's only some issues from time to time. For example, when a restaurant maybe uses amplified music outdoors, if it's bothering neighbors, at late hours and things like that. If there have been complaints that have been lodged specifically about the outdoor venue, and there's been a history of that, that is taken into consideration when they come in for a renewal. But I don't know, Captain Hertow, do you want to add anything about that? I know that in the past, I'm going back years now, when I was a trustee 25 years ago, I remember there were some institutions years ago that had some issues that, had to be reviewed because of their history in that regard. But I don't know if that's an issue today.
Right now, it hasn't been an issue.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I just know that years ago there were some issues with that, and that would have to be reviewed again because of their noise complaints and things like that arose. Yeah.
And where does the Suffolk County Department of Health come in here? Because each restaurant is allowed a certain amount of seats. So how would that, if they're maxed out, how would they be able to add more seating? Alex?
That's a great question, and that's something that probably on an application by application basis, the applicant would have to demonstrate. If they were maxed out, probably what they would have to do is relocate some of their interior seating outside.
Right, so it wouldn't actually add to the seating then if they were already maxed out. They would have to take
Correct, it
their
would just be a
inside and,
relocation.
right.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yep, and that would probably depend, like I said, it'd be on what their individual health department permit looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And Alex and Bill, the other consideration I think you must look at is parking. Because there's only so much parking in the village in the summer. And I would think the other merchants might get a little bit miffed that the restaurants are taking up more of the parking spaces because they're increasing their capacity. As much as I want to help the restaurants, I want to help all the businesses. And so it might make sense to only allow the increased usage in the evening when the other merchants are typically not requiring as much parking. I don't really know how best to handle that problem, but I think it's something you should look at.
No, that's a good point, Roy. I understand that obviously there are a lot of shoppers in the village during the day. That's sort of peak time in the village, and you wouldn't maybe want to take up as much parking with only for restaurants when we have a lot of, again, store owners, merchants that also want the traffic in the village during the day. I understand that. Yeah, good point. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Alex. Again, this is just to identify the fact that it's very difficult, and Alex and Bill, and we could all work together to come up with a good concept that takes into account the vibrancy of the downtown, as well as some of the complaints about parking and noise and lighting in that matter. So I think this is something we all can work together on, and something that we can do to help improve the village. So we can move forward now if...
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to, I know it's not on the agenda, but I'd like to make a motion to add another presentation. I have Steve Phillips here and Harry Weed. I've asked them to come in to speak about the paving because of the concern about the delay in some of the paving that needs to be done in the village. So do I have a second for
I'll
the
make
motion?
a second. Thank you, Trustee Arista. Is all in
Mr.
favor?
Reed?
Aye. Harry, you're looking very sharp tonight.
Thank you. Good evening. I know there's been concern about the National Grid work and getting those roads repaved. We did on May 1st have a meeting with National Grid, the mayor, Steve, and myself. We went out and looked at the locations. We discussed with them some concerns, one of them being that they needed to be more attentive to their trenches and to their work to make sure that they're checking them on a regular basis so there's no holes that are developing. Because if you drive down now, on Tuesday, there was an email that National Grid was turning the work over, that the last pit that they had open was backfilled, and we could move forward with the restoration process. The one thing Steve and I did, we looked at the area, we went out and walked it. That trench is still settling. The pit area is still settling. So right now, the tentative, Steve was able to get the paving contractor in for June 5th. That will give enough time for enough traffic to be on it and to compact that area so that there's no problem. Right now, National Grid's on the hook for this, so if there is any problems, any collapses, any quick settlements, that they need to come in and address it and take care of it until the village does the final restoration on those roads. So it's got to be watched, and hopefully towards the end of May, we'll stop, as it's being checked, we won't see as much settlement, and that we've reached that final compaction, so that when the village does pave the road, it's done properly, it's done right, and it's not going to give us any problem. We're going to have longevity. So that's the key right now. So it is in the works, but right now the first that the contractor can come in is June 5th, but that also gives enough time for the areas to be sufficiently settled and compacted.
Thank you, Harry.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Steve, you want to add anything?
Ross.
Okay.
All right, so that is great news for many residents, particularly those on West Prospect, where some of the National Grid work is going on. And wanted to thank you, Steve, and you, Harry, for your efforts to get this expedited. It's something that we've heard a lot of input from residents on, so you guys did a great job on getting this to the finish line, or soon to be at the finish line. So thank you. Yeah, knock on wood. But thank you very much. And also, we do have the Cornell paving management schedule that this board and Deputy Mayor Gina Rested really helped out with. So that's also something I'm hoping we can take a look at. And in particular, just visually, there could be obviously the work on Hill Street, Hampton Road, and just when I snuck into the dog park, a resident told me Captain's Neck has a lot of potholes at the moment, but basically there's a few streets that I'm sure we're aware of, and the sooner we can work on that, the better. But we know you guys are working extremely hard, and I know our entire board is greatly appreciative of all your efforts and the efforts of the Public Works Department, so thank you. So Charlene, I'll turn this over, well actually, we'll about to get to resolutions. Right now we have a public hearing, so I'll make a motion to open the public hearing regarding the local law, which is the proposal to amend chapters 80, 82, 86, and 110 of the Village Code entitled Regulations Enumerated Parking Permit and Vehicles and Traffic. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can, Andrew, you explain this, because it's quite complex.
I will endeavor to, Trustee Manger. This local law started maybe a few months ago at a board meeting. A resident made a comment that the beach parking lots were being used for overnight or long-term storage parking. And
On occasion, not all the time. Yeah.
On occasion,
Yeah.
but there were vehicles that were parked there for some time, and the board wanted to address that by setting an overnight parking restriction. In the course of reviewing that section of code, it triggered the review of another section of code which revealed that there is a parking lot that is omitted from village code entirely. And in order to be able to enforce restrictions in that lot, that triggers the addition of this local law. following that, there was a review of a section of law that dealt with the issuance of permits for village beach driving licenses. And this really streamlines that law to reflect the fact that permits from the village are only issued following issuance of permits from the town.
Correct, from the town trustees.
From the town trustees, and this sort of streamlines that process. And finally, there was a incongruity in a section of code specifically related to the sale of alcoholic beverages at Cooper's Beach, where the village code permitted the sale of alcoholic beverages on sidewalks only.
In the village.
In the village.
Correct.
And calling the Cooper's Beach concession stand a sidewalk is a stretch. So this corrects that.
So this was quite a project, and I'm gonna say that I'm guilty of the additional legal bills to get this straightened out. I'm gonna claim right now in front of everybody that I worked with Andrew diligently on this to get this cleared up before the summer, and so I am guilty of working with him to get this cleaned up, but it needed to be cleaned up. Some of these had not been cleaned up since the
2002, I believe. Was one of them.
2002. So it was high time that the village get this cleaned up. So I did work with Andrew on this, and I will take the heat for that. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much. I'd like to open this up to public comment. So if anyone has any comment on this local law, this is a public hearing, so feel free to come up. You can state your name and address for the record. And if not, we can keep on moving. So I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing regarding the local law to amend chapters 80, 82, 86, and 110 of the Village Code, entitled Regulations Enumerated, Parking Permit, and Vehicles and Traffic. Is there a second?
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Trustee Manger. I really appreciate your work there. And there is one communication to the board from Jackie Serbisky, which is in our packet. So that's also available. Perhaps.
Can I add something on that?
Yeah, please.
She was pointing out that she has an issue with the street tree on her block, that it's having a lot of droppings, and it's a very strange looking tree, I have to say. I think she's on harvest. I think that the tree committee should look at that tree and examine it, and possibly, I know no one likes to take a tree down, but if it really is causing that much problem, maybe evaluate what that tree is doing there and possibly substitute it for another tree, because it does seem to be shedding an awful lot of.
I gave it to him, but he's got the picture and everything.
I don't even know what that is. I mean, it's the
couldn't
most
figure it out
bizarre
either.
tree I've ever seen in my life. I don't know why we even have that on a village street. And I feel sorry for them, actually, because it is very strange. So I would actually have the tree committee look at this and tell us what we should do about this, and maybe if it should be replaced. Because I feel like we should be responsive to Mrs. Skrbinski in this regard. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe our team already took the tree down and replaced it, and the new tree has the same problem.
Okay.
That's what I think happened.
I think we have
actually.
to change it to a different genus of tree then.
I'll respect that.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, so that.
Just the other point that she made in her letter was about her frustration with the no right turn issue. As I said, we're trying to reduce the cut-through on streets. I have noticed, and Captain Hurtau has left, but I will bring this up to her after the meeting, but people are beginning to make a lot of right turns from 3 to 7 p.m. on those streets now. There was very good enforcement right after we put those signs up, but it's kind of fallen down a bit. And as I stated when the law was effective, that we need to get the reputation that if you risk making a right turn there, you've got a good chance of getting a ticket, and that will stop that problem.
On that note, I did actually get a phone call from somebody who drives a school bus, who was driving a school bus for another school district, who had was taking a sports team back to Quogue, and wasn't aware of the fact that they couldn't make a right turn, and ended up having to go all the way back through the village and sitting with children on the bus up on the highway. Is there any exceptions to school buses making a right-hand turn on those roads? Is that something in the law that states?
Is it possible?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's not in our law now, obviously.
Okay, I just didn't know if there was something in the state law, traffic law, that exempted school buses, because I did get a phone call from someone who, they don't live in the village, they're not in this area, but they were taking a team from Bridgehampton, and they had come through the village to try to get on Montauk Highway, because that's the way they were taking the children home to Quogue.
That's something that could be codified.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we can turn this over to suggested resolutions. So Charlene, I'll let you take it from here, and
Okay.
thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution number 1, resolved that the claims for the warrant dated May 11th, 2023, totaling $772,519.02, warrant A26 General Fund, $7,560.40, warrant H14 Capital Fund, and $16,703.62, warrant A27 Utilities Fund, are hereby audited and approved. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 2, the resolve that the Board of Trustees of the Incorporated Village of Southampton approve the local law number to be assigned 2023, the proposal to amend chapters 80, 82, 86, and 110 of the Village Code entitled Regulations Enumerated Parking Permit at Village and Traffic. Vehicles and Traffic, sorry. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 3, resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Incorporated Village of Southampton authorize the village clerk to publish a notice of public hearing for a special meeting to be held on Tuesday, June 6th, 2023, at 6 p.m. as a hybrid in-person /Zoom meeting regarding the environmental assessment related to the contemplated Village of Southampton water treatment facility. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 4, resolved in connection with the contemplated Village of Southampton water treatment facility at 1 Bowers Lane, and more particularly described in the environmental assessment form location map annexed to the full environmental assessment form, Part 1, dated July 29, 2022, council and/or village planner and/or village consultant, D&B engineers and architects, be directed to refer the matter as required to seek lead agency status and notify interested agencies of the board's intent to seek lead agency status for the purposes of New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All,
Discussion? And there was a comment made in the public hearing about the, whether or not the village can be lead agency. Would you care to comment on that? Did you have a chance to review that and make?
I think that's a question for the seeker process, which is essentially begun by this resolution. And so this resolution contemplates sending out notices to other involved agencies advising that the village intends to seek lead agency status. Whether that status is awarded, objected to, or otherwise is something that can only be determined and only happen following this.
The town would have to weigh in.
And there are a number of potentially involved and interested other agencies that would have an opportunity to weigh in or object.
Okay.
And if I could just also speak to those who spoke in the public comment and who raised their objections. I've served on the Stewart Task Force. I hear what you're saying. I emphasize that in no way was this an attempt to sneak this in and get this done in the dark of the night. We did not know where it was going for the longest time.
We don't believe that. Discovery on this issue. Keep it in the village. Keep it in your backyard.
You've had your opportunity.
Your backyard, not mine.
And we are also the residents of the town. We may be residents of the village, but we are also residents of the town.
Good, then keep your waste where you live.
We would like the opportunity to just present the idea before everybody, you all
We're not interested in,
May
we're
I
not
speak?
in,
I did not interrupt you, okay? When you were speaking, I did not interrupt you. May I speak?
We're horrified that you contemplate this.
Yes.
So, the village must take care of their water problems. And it is an eastern Suffolk County problem. All of our waste is going into the ground. We are required by Suffolk County Health to take care of this issue. So something has got to happen.
In the village.
We are doing our
We will
best
help you
to
find
make
the
it
waste,
happen
but
to the
not
best of
here.
our ability. We would like to make a presentation. At that point, you can continue to object and continue to do what you said you were going to do. But I simply ask.
Thank you, everyone.
I simply ask that you understand what the project is.
It's disingenuous, but, you know, we're intelligent people, and you know something? Yes, of course. One at a time.
Mayor?
We-
Well, this is really, you know, they already spoke, Jesse.
I'd like-
Have the
Settle on
opportunity
here.
to speak, ma'am.
May I speak for 2 minutes? In response, instead of speaking in a disorganized way, we just
Uh,
very
this
You
is-
may
briefly.
come to
this
the
is
meeting that we
Jesse.
scheduled on June 6th and speak further. That's when you can speak
It's
again.
gonna cost us money, and it's gonna cost us time. And if you
Well, the
were
meeting is
living
happening,
in
so
our
if you don't want to come
neighborhood,
to that, you don't
I'm
have to,
trying
but
to
we are
speak in
going
a
to.
All right, I'd like-
respectful way.
I'd like to
to
continue
your-
the
to
the
your
meeting
point,
here.
And that is, you should consider sites in the
Counsel.
village
Mayor,
that
Mayor.
you have identified.
Right.
And you have decided
Go
not to
ahead.
do it because the residents in the village
That is
oppose it.
totally
Thank you.
incorrect.
Trustee
Totally
Stevenson.
Well,
incorrect.
what about
I-
145 Dorsey Road?
All right.
Why don't you give us the information as to why you decided
soon
not
as
to
I-
proceed?
Thank you.
That
I don't even
parcel
know
is
where.
available at 50% market cost. It's
Thank
still
you.
available, and it's next to the village
Okay.
sign.
All right.
That is, you own that property.
Thank you.
And you could put the waste disposal facility.
And where are we up to
All
on
right.
this, Charlene?
I'd like to
Excuse me?
keep the meeting
Take a vote.
moving.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody,
So,
for your
so
patience.
all on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 5, resolved that the Board of Trustees authorizes the mayor to execute a water quality improvement project funding award contract proposed by the town of Southampton, which is anticipated to provide $396,459 to the village of Southampton for the purpose of installation of a pilot-scale injection well permeable reactive barrier in the north end of Lake Agawam to mitigate nitrogen loading. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Wait. So when are we proposing that this be done?
I am not certain. I believe that this is the project that is being led by Dr. Gobler.
Jesse, do you know?
We could get going as soon as possible, though it probably doesn't make sense to do this in the middle of the summer, so
Right.
it's probably going to be
fall?
fall
Okay.
of 2023.
Okay.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 6, whereas on April 25th, 2023, a board presentation led by the village administrator was conducted regarding the grant policy and procedures. Now therefore be it resolved that based on the recommendations presented, Board of Trustees hereby adopts the grant policy and procedures. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 7, the Board of Trustees authorizes the Treasurer's Office to amend the 2022-23 budget amendment 344, budgetary appropriation shortfalls within the budget lines as attached. And if you see in the handout, this is one of our year-end housekeeping entries. The Finance Department had to do some projections. We had to cover some of the shortfalls in our health insurance. We actually also had quite a bit of reclassifications by civil service that were not funded during, at the beginning of the budget year, which resulted in promotions and higher salaries. We also had some employees who had opted to purchase some vacation and buy out some vacation and accrual time. So this is our year-end housekeeping entry. It was too large to put in the agenda, so it's attached and it was available online. So with that, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Just wait, discussion. Again, I just want to point out that there is an additional $71,000 in there for additional legal bills, but I would like to just address legal bills that are attributed to me, because again, I know that there is attention being paid to legal bills, and I would like to make it clear what those are being spent for, and I want to obviously be accountable to the public for those. So I already spoke about updating the beach regulations that I did spend time with Andrew Preston on. I also want to address the amount of time that I spent going back to the beginning of this year trying to address the Liberty Gardens project with letters to not only the town, but Suffolk County. Many conversations with Andrew Preston so that we could try and prevent Liberty Gardens from putting a road into the Hillcrest neighborhood. Also concerned about the flow of water to the West Prospect Street well field and the water tower there. The amount of time that I spent with Andrew Preston and Trustee Stevenson on the fire district contract. For the first time, we have a 3-year contract between the fire department and the fire district, and that was actually many meetings, a lot of time with Andrew Preston, but that was something that was very important. We also put together the LoSAP benefits that will be on the ballot on June 16th for the firemen so that they can have enhanced benefits for the volunteers in this village going forward if the voters in this village vote to extend the LoSAP benefits to the firemen. There were many zoning code changes, including a whole rewrite of Chapter 65 of the zoning code for the historic district. There was a lot of time spent with not only Andrew Preston, but also Alice Cooley, the attorney for the Architectural Review Board and Historic Preservation. I was responsible for that, and I will take credit for that because that was something that was necessary and something that had to be done. I felt very strongly about it, and I will own up to these expenses. I have absolutely nothing to walk away from here, and I want to make sure that I am on the record saying that, yes, I did these things. These were important for the village, and I am absolutely confident this was the right thing to do, and I have absolutely every confidence that this was absolutely the right thing to do. I spent a lot of time with Andrew Preston doing the Arts and Culture Overlay District with Buckhurst Fisk Jacquemart and Alex Wallach to implement the concept into zoning code that then was implemented by this board to put that into reality. That was part of the comprehensive plan. Again, something that needed to be put into code so that we could vote on it and make it part of the code of the village and make it a law. So again, I will take responsibility for that. We also even sent a letter that this board all signed on to, that I took the lead on, a letter to the town saying that we wanted to see no more retail businesses on County Road 39 because of the additional traffic that they would bring to County Road 39. Andrew Preston and I worked on a letter that, again, I got the rest of this board to sign on to, that said that any additional retail businesses on County Road 39, we would like to request that they at least have a very thorough traffic study to ensure that, again, it was not going to be an undue burden to County Road 39. Although, quite honestly, I don't see how you add any additional retail businesses to County Road 39 without impacting the traffic on that road. I looked at all the bills going back months. There were some conversations I had with Andrew about implementation about the HeartNet report. That's a very important report about implementing aspects to improve our police department. Again, I can go through everything that I've done with our village attorney. I'm proud of all the things that I've done with the village attorney, and I just want to make it very clear to the public that I stand by all of the engagements that I've had with our village attorney, and I think it was all worthwhile, and that is why I'm a village trustee, to do the work of this village. And I'm not shying away from any of the work that I've done with the village attorneys, whether it be Andrew Preston or one of the land use board's attorneys. So I just want to make that statement before we approve the additional $71,000 for the attorneys. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Manger.
Yep.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 8, resolved that the Board of Trustees authorize the Treasurer's Office to amend the 2022-23 budget Amendment 345, funding the emergency purchase of a mower for the Parks Department in an amount of $12,400. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 9, the Board of Trustees authorizes the Treasurer's Office to amend the 2022-23 budget for the Community Development Block Grant for 2020 and 2021 in the amount of $12,000. This was some funding that we had received late. We had already budgeted the $12,000 that we actually allocate to the daycare center and to Heart of the Hamptons, and this is just additional funding that was finally released that we'll be able to provide to them. So, is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 10, resolved that the Board of Trustees authorizes the mayor to execute a contract with Tyler Technologies in the amount of not to exceed $120,209 related to the software services requested by the village assessor's office, subject to the approval of same by the village administrator and council. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 11, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the annual Southampton Fest to be held Friday, October 6th through Sunday, October 8th, 2023. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 12, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the Southampton Association, from the Southampton Association, a donation of village beach signage for installation at village beaches. The Board thanks the Southampton Association for this generous gift. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second discussion. Again, I was able to secure this donation from the Southampton Association. I worked with Walter Dean on getting 12 to 13 new signs that are going to be standardized for all of the village beaches. I'm hoping they will have these by June, and they will be installed again at all the village beaches, and we'll have all the rules and regulations that we've actually just approved at the village beaches, and this will be a great asset along with the other donations that I was able to secure through the Southampton Association for bike racks, trash cans, and the bike lanes that are supposed to be striped, I think, at 3 in the morning
Well,
tonight. I'm hoping. Steve?
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
okay.
they've been striping the last 2 days at 3 a.m.
Okay, anyway.
That's why Steve's falling
So
asleep
they,
right now.
they may be here this weekend. So anyway, this is just the final donation of the beach signage. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 13, resolved that the budget is hereby amended to reflect the donation from the Southampton Association for the bike lane striping as follows. Increase gifts and donations in the amount of $18,945 and increase highway contractual services in the amount of $18,945. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 14, whereas the village public restrooms are located behind the Chamber of Commerce and in need of ADA upgrades to the entrance. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the appropriation of the ADA trust funds in the amount of $2,143 to furnish these upgrades. Was the recommendation of our superintendent of Public Works, as a lot of the entrances to those restrooms are difficult for people to manage. So is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second discussion, and also about the locks that are now
Oh,
on
yes, there's-
timers, which is very
Exactly.
important.
There's going to be, right now they're locked up at the end of the workday by DPW custodial staff, and there's going to be an installation of automatic door locks, so they will be open till what time, Steve? Till 8 p.m. So they'll be accessible more, for more hours for the public. Is there, so all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 15, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the refund request received from Southampton Village Building Department pertaining to a building permit fee in the amount of $847 received from the homeowner of 44 Cobblefield Road. The original request was rescinded. This was a demolition request, and they've decided not to move forward with the demolition permit. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 16, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the Boy Scout Troop number 58 of Southampton to plant beach grass at Cooper's Beach in preparation for the 2023 summer season. Date and time details to follow based on delivery date of plantings. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Discussion.
Discussion.
I believe the plants have arrived, correct? Okay.
Trustee Brown.
Okay.
Thank you so very much.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 17, resolved that upon the recommendation of the Village Tree Commission and pursuant to the Village Code Section 107-13E, the fee to accompany an application seeking a tree removal permit is hereby established to be $150. If you see on your tab on number 17, there's an application that was actually drafted by Steve Phillips, our superintendent of DPW, and at the recommendation of the tree committee after their first meeting, and approved by them, and now to be approved by the board. So is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 18, resolved the Board of Trustees accepts the resignation of Southampton Village Fire Department Agawam Hose Company Number 1 member Dominic Abadi with 4.58 years of service. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Discussion. I just want to mention that Dominic has a lot on his plate. He just had his second child, so I think it got to be a little bit too much between his two different businesses and the two babies at home. But I'd also like to thank Dominic Abadi for his service.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolved, resolution number 19, resolved the Board of Trustees accepts the Suffolk County Civil Service reclassification of Mauricio Espinoza from Maintenance Mechanic 3 to Maintenance Mechanic 4, effective May 5th, 2023, at a salary of $92,216.14. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 20, the Board of Trustees approves a 30-day leave of absence for Derek Highsmith, Office Assistant in the Building Department, effective April 25th, 2023. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 21, resolved the Board of Trustees appoints Jada Gant to the position of Seasonal Office Assistant in Village Hall at an hourly rate of $25, effective May 15th, 2023. This is our year-round part-timer. Jada is moving into seasonal time to help with our election work and to help at the front with the beach pass permits. So is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 22, the Board of Trustees appoints Matthew Weeks to the position of Beach Manager, Cooper's Beach, at a salary of $26,800, effective May 26, 2023. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. We're going to ask for resolution number 23 to be tabled because Matt wanted to provide I spoke to him last night, and he hadn't had an opportunity to provide an updated list, so what we'll do is have it approved at the meeting on the 23rd and make it effective immediately so that he can proceed with this hiring. So,
Thank you.
resolution number 23, we have a motion to table.
Motion table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 24, resolved that the Board of Trustees appoints Megan Sweeney to the position of Intern 2 in the Treasurer's Office at an hourly rate of $22, effective May 12th, 2023. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 25, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the hiring of the 2023 seasonal police staff. Anticipated start date for each employee differs according to their job responsibilities and availability and will be sworn in before employment begins. Part-time police officers at the hourly rate of $27, Greg Keglian, Grace Nunberg, John Skanga, and John Casabianco. Part-time court officer, $27 an hour, George T. Ronan. Part-time traffic control specialist, $20 an hour, Thomas Gross, Louis Joya, Adina Ledzima, George Gutierrez, Nakai Davis, Kevin Dillon, Anthony Glantz, and Caleb Flores. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 26, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the appointing of the following individuals as election inspectors for the village election on Friday, June 16th, 2023, operating hours of 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m., effective June 16th, 2023. Diane Fisher, chairperson, $30 per hour. Janice Filingeri, chairperson, $30 per hour. Nancy Stevens Smith, Rachel Foster, Ellen Greaves, Arthur Nation, Vera Cowell, and Georgia Chapek, each at $25 an hour. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 27, the Board of Trustees approves the Southampton Intermediate School to host an 8th grade day at Cooper's Beach on Thursday, June 22nd, 2023, from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 28. Resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the Hospital for Special Surgery to host its first annual Iron Strength event on Saturday, July 29th, 2023, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. at Agawam Park. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 29. Whereas the Village of Southampton is always desirous to improve the economy and quality of life within the Village of Southampton, and whereas the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Program, the County of Suffolk participates with local governments in the development, support, and funding of projects located in Suffolk County that will have an important and sustainable impact on downtowns and business districts. And whereas, as part of the application process in conformity with Suffolk County Resolution number 808-1998, the County of Suffolk requires a resolution of the Town Village Board showing local support for the proposed project, and whereas upon the county's approval of the project, the town or village would be required to enter into a municipal agreement with the county under Article 5G of the General Municipal Law, pursuant to which the Village of Southampton would be required to undertake and complete the project, and the county would be responsible for providing financing for all or part of the cost of the project, whereas in order to provide county financing for all or part of the project, the County of Suffolk must obtain a leasehold, easement, or any other real property interest in the site of the project, and whereas the East End African American Museum and Center for Excellence, DBS, Southampton African American Museum, SAM, is desirous of proposing that the Village of Southampton participate in such program in connection with SAM ADA Chair Glide Project, and the Village has applied for $10,290 under this program. The Village would match $5,355, and SAM would match $5,355, will provide a combined 51% match of this project totaling $10,710. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Board of Trustees hereby states its support for the lighting upgrade project proposed by the Southampton Arts Center pursuant to the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Program through the Village of Southampton, and be it further resolved that the village shall take all necessary action to obtain the required easement, lease, permit, and other real property interest in the site of the project for the Village of Southampton according to the details of the intermunicipal agreement signed on January 28, 2009, and be it further resolved that the Village Board authorizes the mayor to sign any and all documents, including but not limited to required lease, easement, lease documents, and an intermunicipal agreement, subject to the review and approval of the village attorney to participate in the program. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second. Who was the second? Oh, thank you, Rob.
Discussion, I'm just a little unclear exactly what this is doing. So is this a lighting upgrade? What is it? Just so I understand.
This is Robinson.
This is part of the downtown revitalization, and we were able to assist as far as the security lighting for the Southampton Arts Center, for the exterior lighting. And so we were able to find a grant. We were very pleased. I looked for some time to be able to find a grant that would fit the guidelines to assist downtown revitalization. We know how important that Southampton Arts Center and SAM is in bringing the stream of economy and the public to our area. So this is a way of partnering with them to provide this service and having a match of a grant. It's lovely having that.
Yes, there are actually two separate grant projects, two separate pools of funding. One would have has something to do with handicap accessibility at SAM and
That I
has a chair
understood.
glide.
That I
And then
understood.
the exterior lighting is for safety purposes at SAC.
Okay, that's what I didn't understand.
Yes.
Okay, now I get it, Okay.
So it's a two-pronged project with the same grant.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
For the SAM 88 project, was there the requirement for the 50% match? And is it permissible for the village to match further, or is that the match that the county had?
That's what the application is
Okay.
requesting. They may come back and ask for more. Also, this is subject to the town. The SAM project is subject to the town approving as well. So I think Ms. Christian was working on having that done as well.
I believe there's some allowance, Mr. Mayor, and we can certainly look into it if the village would like to increase that, and we would appreciate that. We'll have our legal look into that, and thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you, Trustee Brown.
So on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? These grant resolutions
May
are...
I say thank you to the mayor and the trustees. This is something I've been looking forward to, searching for. I'd like to thank our village administrator. I'd like to thank our grant writer, Nicole Christian, and all of those that assisted in this. And now we're just praying that it is approved. Once again, thank you all.
Okay, so resolution number 30, this is the SECRA resolution that's also required as part of the grant, whereas the proposed project is classified as a Type 2 action, and as such, no environmental assessment form is required as per Section 617-5, 2 and 9 of the State Environmental Quality Review Act. SECRA, which are as follows: 2, replacement, rehabilitation, or reconstruction of a structure or facility in kind on the same site, including upgrading building to meet building energy and fire codes, unless such action meets or exceeds any of the thresholds in Section 617.4 of this part. And excuse me, 9, construction or expansion of a primary or accessory appurtenant non-residential structure or facility involving less than 4,000 square feet of gross floor area and not involving a change in zoning or use of variance, and consistent with local land use controls, but not radio communication or microwave transmission facilities, and now therefore be it further review, no further review under SECRA is required. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Board of the Village of Southampton hereby states its support for the Southampton African American Museum project pursuant to the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Program through the Village of Southampton, and be it further resolved that the Village of Southampton authorizes the mayor and/or deputy to sign any or all documents, including but not limited to the required easement, lease documents, and an intermunicipal agreement subject to review and approval by the village attorney to participate in this program. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 31, whereas the Village of Southampton is always desirous to improve the economy and quality of life within the Village of Southampton, and whereas the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Program, the County of Suffolk participates with local governments in the development, support, and funding of projects located in Suffolk County that will have an important and sustainable impact on downtowns and business districts, and whereas as part of the application process in conformity with Suffolk County Suffolk County Resolution Number 8081998, the County of Suffolk requires a resolution of the town village board showing local support for the proposed project. And whereas upon the county's approval of the project, the village will be required to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the county under Article 5-G of the General Municipal Law, pursuant to which the Village of Southampton would be required to undertake and complete the project, and the county would be responsible for providing financing for all part of the cost of the project. And whereas in order to provide county financing for all or part of the project, the county must obtain a leasehold, easement, or other property interest in the site. And whereas the Southampton Arts Center is desirous of proposing that the Village of Southampton participate in such a program in connection with lighting upgrade The village has applied for an $11,760.23 program under the program for the village, match of $7,444.83, and SAC $4,796.47 will provide a combined 51% match to this project, totaling $12,241.30. Now therefore be it resolved that the village Board of the Village of Southampton hereby states its support for the lighting upgrade project proposed under the Southampton Art Center to pursuant to the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Program through the Village of Southampton, and be it further resolved that the village shall take all necessary action to obtain the required easement, lease, permit, and other real property interest in the site of the project from the Village of Southampton, and be it further resolved that the village authorizes the mayor to sign any and all necessary documents, including but not limited to the required easement, lease documents, and intermunicipal agreements, subject to the review of the approval of the village attorney to participate in the above referenced program. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 32, whereas the proposed project is classified as a Type 2 action, and as such, no environmental assessment form is required as per Section 617-5, 2, and 9 of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, which are as follows: replacement, rehabilitation, or reconstruction of a structure or facility in kind on the same site, including upgrading buildings to meet the building energy or fire codes unless other action meets or exceeds any of the thresholds in section 617-4 of this part, and construction or expansion of the primary or accessory appurtenant non-residential structure or facility involving less than 4,000 square feet of gross floor area, and not involving a change in zoning or use variance, or consistent with other local land use controls, but not radio communication or microwave transmission facilities, and therefore no further review under SECRA is required. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Southampton is hereby states its support for the Southampton Arts Center project proposed pursuant to the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Program through the Village of Southampton, and be it further resolved that the Southampton Village Board authorizes the mayor and/or deputy to sign any and all documents, including but not limited to the required easement, lease documents, and an intermunicipal agreement, subject to the review of the village attorney to participate in the above referenced program. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution number 33, the Board of Trustees authorizes the village administrator to, upon her receipt of all necessary approvals and documentations from third parties, submit responses to the Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Program's request for grant applications related to the Southampton Art Center and the Southampton African American Museum. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Resolution, that concludes the resolutions.
Actually,
There's-
I have one walk-on resolution I would like to do with Andrew. This came out of a resolution that we were trying to do earlier, but meeting with the board members today, the land use board members today reminded me that we had not done it yet. And Andrew just told me that if we would like, we can walk it on tonight. So I would like Andrew first to explain it to make sure that the rest of the board is okay with this. Andrew?
Andrew, just do me a favor.
Sure.
I know everyone's trying to get things done quickly, but there's been a lot of talk about open meetings, and maybe just wait next time until we're ready to go, rather than doing the exchange off the side, just because we're under strict New York State law, open meetings law. And I just wanted to just give a friendly reminder about that, so any side discussion should just be done in public.
What does open meeting law have to do with this?
Sure, so,
This was-
Andrew, go ahead.
would you like me to explain?
Yeah,
Did
thank
I
you.
do something wrong?
Not to my knowledge.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want that to be very clear. I did nothing wrong.
Trustee Manger called me this afternoon, and I don't think I'm telling secrets. He told me
No,
that he was
there
in
are
a
no
meeting with
secrets here.
with the board chairs,
Full transparency.
Yeah.
and the
And I was there.
the Architectural Review Board requested a revision to the code, specifically of section 11637A6C2, which is a section that essentially gives provides a stay for the ARB to designate a building as a historic structure following the building department's receipt of a demolition permit, and the ARB requested an extension of that time from 30 days to 45 days. The proposed resolution would be for not even to notice the public hearing, but rather just for the village planner to refer it for lead agency status, because the reference to the Suffolk County Planning Commission requires a 30-day waiting period, and the village couldn't adopt this local law until that comes back. So my thought was that since that was raised today, if the board wants to so resolve, the process can start. It would not affect the notice of public hearing or the public hearing on the proposed local law.
Thank you.
So I would like to make a motion that we move on this tonight.
A proposed resolution for the board to consider resolved in connection with a contemplated amendment to the Village of Southampton Village Code, Section 116-37A6C2, which would extend the time after which the building inspector may issue a permit based upon the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation's failure to issue a notice of proposed designation of a building as a landmark from 30 to 45 days. Council and/or the village planner and/or village's planning consultant be directed to refer the matter to the Suffolk County Planning Commission, seek lead agency status, and notify interested agencies of the board's intent to seek lead agency status for the purposes of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I hear none opposed. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Shirley, you can move ahead with the mayoral appointment. I'll make the motion after you read it.
Sure.
And thank you very much.
Whereas Suffolk County Civil Service has required that the village appoint a provisional superintendent of public works. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor appoints and the village approves the provisional appointment of Stephen Phillips Jr. as superintendent of public works at a salary of $127,000 effective May 12th, 2023. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Congratulations, Steve.
Congratulations,
Thank you for an
Steve.
awesome job. All right, excellent. So we'll move to comments to board members. Thank you again, Steve. And we'll start with Trustee Aresta.
Thank you. First, I'd like to congratulate Steve Moran from Parks Department, as well as Officer Moore and Topper. Very brave of the two of them. And of course, once again, congratulations, Steve, well deserved. Very happy. And just to piggyback over, I had asked Steve to come with Harry this evening about the paving because I wanted them to explain why it's been taking so long at Prospect. But in addition to West Prospect Street, there's also White Street, part of Halsey Street, Barnett Street, and Little Plains. And so that's all going to be part of the paving. Hopefully, the date would be the week of June 5th, but always remember that there's weather and all other conditions that might delay that, but that's the target date. Also, how many mornings now? 3 a.m.? 2? 4? 3 or 4. Okay, so you see all the
Aren't you glad you're making the big bucks now?
So Main Street's open, restriped, part of Hampton Road, and hopefully tomorrow the bike lanes will be complete as well. Part of them have already completed, so that's great. The planter boxes, the flower boxes are already out there. They're empty, but you could see they were all refurbished during the winter and painted, and we're waiting. It's a little too early for the plants, so hopefully but they will be done by Memorial Day. If you look outside Village Hall, brickwork is being continued, and there's 3 beds to the north side of Village Hall that are being, the brickwork is all being redone with new trim around those beds. And so everything from the Herrick Hardware alleyway to Job's Lane would be complete, and that's going to be completed before Memorial Day. And then they'll be off of Main Street, and they'll start working on some the sidewalk repairs, which there are certain areas that are already targeted for that. And just to let everybody know, the washing of the sidewalks and the trash receptacles are done each and every morning. So that's done. I think they're out there about 6 o'clock in the morning. And the downtown crew has already started, and I guess that's it. So have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you very much, Trustee Resta. Trustee Brown.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to congratulate Officer James Moore and K-9 Topper, as we know that this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and this is an example of a trained part of Southampton Village Police that was able to assist. And I'm so glad and grateful, which I'm sure we all are, that this was ended on a very positive note, that there was no harm done to the person that Topper rescued, and we're so grateful to have Officer Moore and Topper as part of Southampton Village Police. Thank you, and we salute you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Brown and Trustee Manger.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank all the members of the public that came in tonight to speak. It's always appreciated when members of the public come and address the board. We do really very gratefully appreciate you taking the time to come here to address your concerns to us. It really is, democracy at work, and so we appreciate you coming here to speak to us and address your concerns to us, and obviously you taking time out of your busy lives to come and address it to us. Please know that it does not go without us taking that into consideration. So thank you very much. I do want to also thank the team at DPW for their continuing efforts to get the bike lanes up and running. I know that AJ is working on the signage, because with the bike lanes, we also have to have the wayfinder signs that direct people as to where they're going. And we will be moving some bike racks into the West Main Street area, and there will be signs directing people that there are bike racks back in this area so that they can bring their bikes back here, lock them up, and then be able to shop or dine or whatever they'd like to do in the village. And so that will be coming as well as part of the new bike lanes. But hopefully, maybe tomorrow morning when people wake up, the bike lanes will actually be there. It's been a long wait, but I do want to say that the guy that was to stripe the lines at first did get into a terrible car accident, and that is why they also were delayed. And so I hope that he is recovering, and that is one of the reasons why it was delayed. It wasn't only the weather. But we do expect them to be here this weekend, and then AJ is working on the signage. So I want to thank him and all of DPW for working on that project. And of course, the donation is a great help to the village in that, again, we don't have to burden the taxpayers with the cost of the striping. But thank you again, Steve, and congratulations to your temporary appointment. Thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Manger. Trustee Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. Southampton Village has been a part of me since I first came here as a 6-month-old. When I think of the village, certain images and places immediately come to mind. The physical beauty of our ocean and dunes, our wonderful beaches like Cooper's Neck and Crider and Halsey Neck, and our beloved Lake Agawam and Old Town Pond. I think of our religious institutions that mean so much to all of our residents: Sacred Hearts, First Presbyterian, King's Chapel, United Methodist, St. John's, St. Andrew's Dune Church, where my grandmother, my mother, my daughter, and my wife Paula and I were married. I think of our incredible police and wonderful volunteer fire and ambulance company who've always been there for my family to keep us safe and help us when we needed their assistance. I think of the schools where I took my daughters as they grew up: Southampton Intermediate, Middle and High School, and of course also OLH. I think of our village history and as the oldest English settlement in New York State, established in 1640, and our wonderfully historic buildings like the Pelletreau Silver Shop, the former barber shop, which is now the African American Museum of the East End, the hopefully soon-to-be restored Purist Concert House, the Halsey House, and the Rogers Mansion. I think of our institutional buildings, our beautiful library, the former library building, now the Peter Marino Arts Foundation, and the Southampton Arts Center, which was once the Parish Art Museum, and of course, where we are right now, our beautiful Village Hall. All of these physical places are Southampton to me. They were here long before I came here, and hopefully will be here long after I'm gone. But when I think of Southampton, there's another group of icons that are equally significant, our long-lived village businesses. Given that they are subject to economic variability and undefeated foe in Father Time, their survival over the years is even more noteworthy. Some, like Hildreth's, Herrick Hardware, and Herbert and Riss, predate me. I grew up with others like Catina's or Sip and Soda, Enstein's Gasoline, La Parmigiana, and Madonia Antiques. Still more were started around the time my wife Paula and I moved here full-time, like the Golden Pear, Urban Renaissance, St. Ambrose, Gubbins, and Topiary. And Jesse, maybe even a few years, Tennant and Stevenson's Toys can be added to this pantheon of retail survivors. Of course, one of the problems of having lived more than 65 years here is my memory is not as good as it once was. So I guarantee you I've forgotten to mention some businesses that deserve to be on the list, and I apologize already for having done so. Of course, it's a very sad day when we lose one of these legacy businesses. Just a few months ago, we lost Schmidt's grocery store, which was a tragedy. This weekend, I learned that Paul and Lori DeRobertis have sold Paul's Italian restaurant, Paul's Pizza. The restaurant will continue, but not with them, and with that, a significant chapter in the village is closing. Paul, Lori, and their family have been part of the fabric of this community, supporting Little League teams, the Timothy Hill Ranch, providing food to the needy and first responders. In short, doing all those things that behind the scenes that have made our village such a special place. Along with Paul's, all of our local businesses add back so much to our community, donating goods for fundraising, supporting events in the park, and even employing some of us. Please support them. I want to thank Paul and Lori and their children for all they've done. They celebrated their 50th year in business just a few months ago. I did a very rough back-of-the-envelope calculation. If they made 100 pieces of pizzas a day, 5 days a week for 50 years, that would be over 1.2 million pizzas, which is probably an underestimate. That is a lot of doing this, and that is a lot of dough. So, Paul and Lori, enjoy your retirement. The village will miss you, and I trust my fellow trustees and the mayor will join me in presenting the DeRobertises with a proclamation recognizing their service at a future board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Stevenson. Well said, and we really appreciate those kind words for Paul's and many of the other businesses, so thank you again. I'll conclude by just thanking and congratulating a few people. Once again, wanted to recognize Steve Phillips, who was just appointed as the provisional head of DPW, so thank you again, Steve, and congratulations. But in particular, I was actually very excited to see a few names for reappointment, people that are going to be coming back to the village and joining us for the first time. And one name here is John Casabianca, who recently graduated from the Seasonal Police Academy. I had the pleasure and the privilege to attend that graduation with Captain Hurto is here tonight, and I really appreciate the invitation and including me in that. It was an outstanding ceremony, and to see all of the seasonal police cadets graduate from the Suffolk County Police Academy, not just for Southampton Village, but for many of the East End towns, and it's great to see new people join our force. So I just wanted to welcome John to our team as a seasonal and part-time police officer. And in particular, I also see P.O. Grace Nunberg here, who, as Roy pointed out, we both own business in the downtown, so when I'm in my store, I often get to look out to see who's on the beat, and I see P.O. Nunberg working extremely hard. Last summer, I was incredibly impressed by the work ethic, and I mean, she was really working as hard as anyone I've ever seen, so I wanted to recognize P.O. Nunberg as well for her efforts, and I'm absolutely delighted to see her as a reappointment this year as a part-time police officer. And then we also have some additional people returning as part-time traffic control specialists. Obviously, those are the officers out helping keep our streets and parking lots in good shape. And just wanted to, there's many people to recognize, but also just wanted to give a quick recognition to Nakai Davis, who is one of our veterans who's been with us year after year, and it's great to see him back joining us as well. So we are very fortunate to have just so many great employees here in the Village of Southampton, and in particular tonight, just wanted to recognize a few of those, and then again also congratulate and thank, as Trustee Arresta recognized, Dominic Abadi, who was part of our fire department as well, for his service. So thank you again to the Board of Trustees tonight, to members of the public, to the village employees who helped out. And with that said, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.